My dear colleagues, I now formally welcome you to this special session of plenary, which has been summoned pursuant to Order 5, Sub-18, 2 of the Standing Rules of the House of Representatives. It is the second special session since the 7th House of Representatives was inaugurated on the 6th of June 2011. The object of the session, which you have just accomplished, is to deliberate on grave allegation of bribery brought against a member of this hallowed chambers, Honorable Farouk Lawan, and Mr. Femi Otedola, an oil marketer, in connection with the work of the ad hoc committee on the monitoring of fuel subsidy regime empaneled by the House for that purpose. In accordance with our legislative agenda, we must continue to be not only sensitive to the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians, but also proactive on all matters of urgent national importance. Therefore, while I apologize for inconveniences caused to honorable members by this sudden recall from recess, I trust we all appreciate that this is a call to important civic duty for our dear country. Honorable colleagues, when we elected to pursue the entrenchment of probity, accountability and transparency in the conduct of government business as a cardinal legislative agenda, we advised ourselves never to expect that it will be an easy task. Accordingly, I have had cause to occasionally sound a note of warning and reminder that our constitutional task is inescapably hazardous, requiring total commitment, diligence, transparency, determination, and sacrifice. The Constitution has given the Parliament three broad duties, which include lawmaking, representation, and oversight. It is interesting to note that of these three, it is that last one, the last function, which gives the legislature the powers to conduct oversight that has tended to cause conflict between the legislature and the executive and remains the most controversial. Yet, it would have been impossible to conduct the other two functions successfully if the Constitution had not given the Parliament powers of oversight. The single most potent weapon that makers of the Constitution put in place to check abuse by those who execute its laws. In full compliance with the constitutional prescription in Section 62, subsection 1 and 2, the House has always ensured that all committees empaneled by it, be they ad hoc or standing, are given a clear mandate. I find it compelling to state for the obtained time that the constitutional power of investigation conferred on the legislature is for the purpose of law reform and for the exposure of corruption, inefficiency, or waste in the execution or administration of laws within its legislative competence, and in the disbursement or administration of funds appropriated by it. In the exercise of this function, there shall be no sacred cows. I have emphasized the constitutionality of the oversight function of the legislature because there lingers among many public officials the notion that in holding public investigative hearings, the legislature is overstepping its bounds and also neglecting its other functions. Nothing can be further from the truth. The records of our performance for the first of legislative year, which just ended on 6 June 2012, show that the performance in the area of legislation was equally impressive. I wish at this point to make this pledge that this House, the House of Representatives, shall continue to act responsibly by ensuring that investigations are instituted only when absolutely necessary. Furthermore, we shall insist on probity and fairness on the part of our members conducting such investigations, and we shall not hesitate to sanction anyone who in the course of these investigations overreaches himself or uses the process to intimidate anyone or engages in corruption. The recent investigations in two sectors, namely oil subsidy regime and capital markets, were conducted in public. Evidence and testimonies were freely given and taken, and in the case of oil subsidy regime, monumental fraud was disclosed in the report of the Audit Committee, which has since been passed by the House and referred to the Executive for implementation by relevant agencies. While we consider it preposterous and hasty to dismiss the current bribery allegations pending the outcome of ongoing investigations, including our in-house investigation just instituted, we reject in totality insinuations being orchestrated in some media to the effect that the allegations have eroded the integrity of the resolutions of the report and render them unworthy of implementation. Let me reiterate that the resolutions of the House over the fuel subsidy regime remain valid despite this recent controversy. We must, as a country, learn to separate institutions from individuals, and we must admit that in the present case, the alleged conduct of an individual cannot negate the resolutions of the whole House. Let me also reaffirm here that we have not been compromised, and we shall never be compromised. We shall never compromise our stand against corruption. The credibility of our report therefore remains inviolable, and we stand by it. We therefore urge the Executive to match words with action in the implementation of this resolution. As just resolved by motion, relevant committees of the House must diligently monitor the implementation of the resolution by agencies under their supervisory jurisdiction and report back to the House within reasonable time. My dear colleagues, the scope of our resolve for transparency in the conduct of government business include all the arms of government, all functionaries, and all persons doing business with government or operating under acts of the legislature. As members of the Parliament, we enjoy no immunity, and we seek none. Let us therefore remind ourselves constantly that we must live above board. We offer ourselves for public scrutiny at all times in our effort to build a better Nigeria. As humans, where we are and our attention is called, we shall be willing to make amends in the overall national interest. But we have resolved as a House that we must put an end to a system that breeds wealth without work. We will also expose all those who conspire against the interests of our people. On that, I want to assure all Nigerians that the leadership of this House and indeed its membership will indeed stay the course. I call on all of us to remain firm, resolute and committed to the execution of our constitutional mandate, whatever the hazards. We must never, I repeat, never be cowed or intimidated by any form or color of antics that may be fashioned with intent to dampen our spirit and or break our resolve. It remains for me to say that when the army suffers casualties of a few officers and men at the battlefront, it beats no retreat, except it does not intend to win the battle. I am confident that men and women of integrity and character are in the overwhelming majority in our fold in this house, and we do not lack numbers to prosecute the battle. We shall be judged not only by words, but more so by our actions. To the good people of Nigeria, we appeal for patience and understanding, and wish to once more assure you of our sincerity of purpose and determination to deliver the Nigeria of our dreams. The road may be rough and Herculean, but victory is sure. Now, therefore, is the time to double the pace of our performance, including investigative hearings, given that from the monumental fraud uncovered through these investigations, we know that we are surely on course. The current official bribery allegations, whatever the outcome of ongoing investigation, can only serve as impetus for us to do more in the quest for the entrenchment of probity in governance, of course, including the National Assembly. In addition to routine oversight, we shall investigate everything that needs to be investigated in the process of the fashioning of a better Nigeria. In this regard, we shall continue to seek synergy with the other arms of government so as not to work at cross purposes. May the Almighty God grant us the courage and grace to do what is right at all times and in all situations. I thank you all.